Hello students, welcome to KENE'S Educare, a group of KENE solutions. This is part 8 of lesson number 15, Improvement in Food Resources. So in this part, we will be studying all about the beekeeping process and about the summary discussion, and lastly we have 9 exercise questions to discuss at the end. So we will be doing that as well. Okay, so as you all know, before I start with any part, I make sure that we revise each and everything that we have studied in the previous parts, right? And as this is the last part for the lesson, I will be completing the beekeeping part. I'll be completing up with the summary and the exercise in this part. So make sure that whatever we have like studied in the last part, that is from part 1 to 7, you are very much clear with it. And if you remember, in the last class we discussed about fisheries and we studied in detail about the inland fisheries and then about the marine fisheries, right? And I hope you all remember about the concept what we have studied under that. Before that we have studied poultry farming, cattle farming. There are so many things that we have discussed in the lesson. So I want each one of you to please revise each and every note that you have taken starting from part 1, and then I'll proceed with the lesson. I hope every one of you have started the revision. So I hope you have revised all the notes that you have taken starting from part 1 till part 8. Now I'm going to show you the slides one by one, the introduction part that we started with till I'll be showing you everything that we studied about the fisheries part. And this is also a kind of revision that we are doing, as this is the last part for the lesson. Make sure you know each and every statement that has been given on the screen. Okay. After this introduction, the next thing that we started with was improvement of crop yield. So under this improvement of crop yield, we had different types of crops that we had discussed, which include cereals, pulses, oilseeds, spices, and fodder crops. So these are the 5 different types of crops that we had, and you should be knowing the examples of the food that comes under cereals. Like if I talk about cereals, you should be knowing that it includes rice, wheat, maize, millet, sorghum. If I talk about spices, you can write any of the spices that you're aware of, but you need to make sure that you're writing the correct English names of the spices. Okay, so please go through this slide as well. So I hope you all are going through this slide, and over here we have types of crops, right? So you should be knowing, as I said, you should be knowing each and every crop. So please go through it. After this types of pulses, now these are the pictures like showing the different types of crops that we have, and after that we discussed on the crop season, which includes kharif crop and rabi crop. So I want you all to please go through it. I hope you all are going through it. After this Kharif and Rabi season, we discussed about the improvement in the crop yield, which has been done mostly following the three main activities, which includes crop variety improvement, then we have crop production improvement, and lastly, we have crop protection improvement. So I want you all to please go through it quickly. So we will be studying each of them in detail. So starting with crop variety improvement, under this we have hybridization and genetically modified crop. And even the three types of hybridization have been explained, that is intervarietal, interspecific and intergeneric. So I want you all to please quickly go through it. After this crop variety improvement, we discussed on the reason why crop variety improvement is needed. So there are 6 different reasons which have been explained over here. The first of all, the most important reason that we have is increasing the yield of the crop. Secondly, we have to resist our crop from biotic and abiotic factors. Third is we need to reduce the duration of growing the crop, like sowing the crop and harvesting. The duration between them should be less. So the third reason is change in maturity duration, wider adaptability. The crop that we are growing should be adaptable to different climatic conditions. Then desirable agronomic characters. If I want that my crop should be like tall or it should be short, so those agronomic characters should be introduced in them. And lastly, improved quality, because whatever crops that we are growing, we want that the quality of the crop should be improved, right? So I want you all to please go through it. I hope you all are going through this. After this, we discussed on crop production management. Under this, we have three different kind of management that needs to be followed. First one is nutrient management. Then after nutrient management, we have irrigation. And lastly, we have cropping pattern which has been given, right? So please go through it quickly, everyone. After this, we discussed on the three different supplies that through which plants get their requirement fulfilled. So the first one is air supply. Through air, plants need oxygen and carbon dioxide. We have water supply. Through water, plants get hydrogen. And lastly, we have soil supplies, which provide the plant with all the 13 nutrients again, because plants need total of 16 nutrients, right? And we have discussed that nutrients are of two types, that is macro and micronutrients. So I want you all to please go through as well. After this, we discussed on manures and fertilizers. So I want you all to please go through it quickly. I hope you all are going through the screen. Then we have fertilizers. So we just have the definition which have been given. Please go through it as well. After this fertilizers, we discussed on animal husbandry. So I want you all to please go through it quickly, because under this animal husbandry, the scientific management of the animal livestock has been done, which includes feeding, breeding, and disease control, right? So I want you all to please go through the slide as well. After this, we discussed on cattle farming in detail. So I hope you all are going through the slide as well. Now cattle farming is an important part. So please go through it quickly, everyone. After this, we have more about cattle farming over where they have discussed about how exactly the cattle are been feeded and the reason why cattle have been feeded, right? So I want you all to please go through this as well. After this, we have poultry farming and fisheries. You just need to revise that and then we will be done with it and we will be starting with beekeeping. So I hope you all are going through it. After this, we discussed on poultry farming. So I want you all to please go through poultry farming as well. After this, after discussing about poultry farming, we next discussed about egg and broiler production. And if you remember about the layers, and the uh, layers are the one that we use for eggs, right? So you should be knowing that, and what exactly they have been feeded with, what kind of sanitization practice has been followed for them. Everything has been given on this slide. So I want you all to please go through it. After this, we discussed on fish production. So I want you all to please go through it as well. After this, we discussed on marine fisheries and inland fisheries. So I want you all to please go through it. After this marine fisheries, the next thing that we had discussed was about the inland fisheries as well, right? So please go through the slide as well, and then we'll discuss about beekeeping as well. After this, now we even discussed about the problems which have been caused. It is the same thing that has been given over here, right? So please go through it once. after this, the next thing that we have is beekeeping. So, bees are mostly been used for honey, right? So, honey is widely used, and therefore, beekeeping for making honey has become an agricultural enterprise. So, they are just keeping bees for making honey and they are like selling that in the market. And since beekeeping needs low investment, farmers use it as an additional income generating activity. They just have to keep it and the investment cost is very low. Okay, so in addition to honey, beehives are a source of wax, which is again used in medicinal preparations, right? Then we have local varieties of bees which have been used for commercial honey production. These are Apis cerana indica, which is also known as the Indian bee. Then we have A. dorsata, which is the rock bee, and we have A. florae, which is the little bee. These are some of the local varieties of bee which we are using for production. Okay, we have an Italian bee variety which is known as A. mellifera. We bring that to increase the yield of the honey. So this is the variety which is mostly used for commercial honey production. Now one of the important thing that you need to know over here is you should be knowing the names of the bees, like the Indian variety bee, the Italian variety, every names. Okay, so Italian bees have high honey collection capacity and they sting somewhat less. So that is one of the reason that having an Italian bee variety will be an advantage to a farmer if he is following beekeeping. Okay, so Italian bees stay in a given beehive for longer periods and they breed very well. So that is why for commercial honey production, bee farms or apiaries are being established where the value or quality of honey will depend upon the pasturage or the flowers which are available to the bees for nectar, because you might have seen flowers like bees sitting on some colorful flowers. The reason why they sit on the flower is to collect the nectar from that flower, right? And even they help us in pollination. So these are some of the reasons why bees are very important, right? So in addition to adequate quantity of pasturage, the kind of flowers which are available, that is going to also determine the taste of the honey. Like what exactly will be the taste of honey? That depends upon this. So now I want every one of you to please write all the important points from the screen. I hope you all are writing important points from screen. After this, I hope you have written all the important points from here. The next thing that we have is the summary, and here we have the picture of the arrangement of the beehive, how it has been done in the apiary, and the honey extractor, how exactly the honey has been extracted from the beehives, because that is important again, right? So after that, over here we have the summary. I want you all to please quickly go through the summary, everyone. I hope every one of you are going through all the points under the summary part, because after this we have exercise questions. So we have total 9 exercise questions that we will be discussing, right? So I'll be giving you the answer for that, don't worry. So we will be doing it, and you also have to try your best to come up with a answer for it, okay? Please go through the slide, everyone. Okay, so the first question that we have is, explain any one method of crop production which ensures high yield. So what will you write over here? Like, which method according to you will give us more yield? So you can say that cross breeding, that can give you more yield, or do you think, or can you think of any other question? See, you can write that plant breeding is one of the method which has been adopted for high yield plant breeding and is implemented to improve the varieties of the crop by breeding the plants. Okay, so plants from various places, they have been picked up with preferred trait, and then the process of hybridization or crossbreeding is done so that we can have different varieties of crops and different characteristics of the crops can be met. Okay, so you can write this, that hybridization is one of the thing that can be done, or plant breeding can be done. Second question is, why are manure and fertilizers used in the field? So we know that we need to enrich the soil quality so that the yield can be improved, and that is the reason we keep on adding manures and fertilizers, right? And we have even studied that they are going to help in controlling the diseases which occur in plant. So one of the reason is manure and fertilizers, they are supplying nutrients to the soil because they are excellent source of potassium, phosphorus, nitrogen, and that is how they assist healthy development of the plant, right? And even they are improving the fertility of the soil. So there are so many advantages that you can write that why manures and fertilizers are being used in the field. Okay. Then we have the next question as, what are the advantages of intercropping and crop rotation? So intercropping means, now if you know, check pests and rodents and hence decrease the chances of spoiling of the whole crop, right? Because we are keep on adding pesticides and all. Then decreased chances of soil erosion. Soil erosion will not occur if we do intercropping. Then reduced loss of crops with high yield, so that will not happen. And last advantage that we have is less water requirement. The water required for intercropping is less. Then the advantages of crop rotation is like farmers can grow 2 or 3 crops annually. So in a year, farmer is not only producing one crop, they can crop 2 or 3 crops annually. Then pulses take nitrogen directly from the atmosphere, and that is why a minimal amount of fertilizers are been required if crop rotation has been done. Then both fruits and vegetables can be grown easily, and best use of land with proper supply of nutrient can be done. So these are the advantages of following intercropping and crop rotation methods. Okay. Then after this we have the fourth question as, what is genetic manipulation and how it has been useful in agricultural practices? So in genetic manipulation you can write that it is a process in which transfer of genes take place from one organism to another. It's like you are taking my gene and inserting it into another human. But this we are generally doing it with plants. You are taking the gene of one plant, inserting it into the other plant. Okay. So here a gene of a particular character is introduced inside the chromosomal cell, which will result into a transgenic plant. An example, you can write that Bt crop is a genetically modified crop. So this Bt crop is going to carry bacterial gene, which is going to protect the plant from insects. And like we have other plants like brinjal, cabbage, rice, cauliflower, maize crop, we all protect them from insects. Okay. Then next question we have is, how do storage grain losses occur? So it is because of biotic and abiotic factor. Biotic factors includes like if insects eat them, rodents eat them, pesticides, bacteria, birds, they are all biotic factors which are like leading to loss of storage grain. And lastly we have abiotic factor which includes air, temperature, flood, wind, humidity. Okay, so you can write this biotic and abiotic factors under this. Then we have sixth question as, how do good animal husbandry practice benefit farmers? So it is going to increase the good quality cattles, right? Then better quality of the milk production, and we can even use them in agriculture for carting, irrigation and tilling process. These are the benefits that farmers can have. Then after this, the seventh question is, what are the benefits of cattle farming? So we can use cattle for agricultural purpose. Cattle can give us good quality, like it can generate good quality cattle. Milking, we can even use them for milking and meat production purpose. And lastly, we can use the skin of the cattle for leather and wool industry. Okay. How can we use the cattle skin? For leather and wool industry. Okay. Then eighth question we have is, for increasing the production, what is common in poultry, fisheries and beekeeping? So over here, for increasing production, crossbreeding techniques have been adopted in poultry, fisheries and beekeeping, and along with these techniques, regular and proper maintenance methods have been useful in improving the production. These are commonly been used. Okay, and last question we have is, how can you differentiate between capture fishing, mariculture, and aquaculture? So capture fishing is a technique in which fish are captured from various sources like sea, river, lakes, and ponds. So we are just capturing different species of the fish from different sources. Mariculture is like culturing the fish from the marine, like culturing the marine fishes like prawns, oysters, betki, mullets in marine water, and we are using that for commercial use. And lastly, we have aquaculture. Over here, we will involve the culturing of fish in both marine and fresh water. So when we are culturing both marine and freshwater fish, we call it as aquaculture. Okay. So I hope you're clear with all the 9 questions that we discussed, and you're clear with the rest of the part as well. So we will be like, we have completed with this lesson, improvement in food resources, and I hope every one of you have understood whatever we had discussed till now in the whole lesson. The whole lesson was easy, and I want each one of you to make sure that you all are writing the answers for all the 9 questions, because I have just discussed it right now, right? So you will be writing the answers in your own words, and you will be like, if possible, submit that as well. So I'll end up with this part over here. Thank you, everyone.